In the news tonight, Tinubu calls for sacrifice and compassion as Muslim faithful commemorate Eid al-Kabir. Governor Ayedatiori states commitment to actualizing 7-point agenda of administration. Diphtheria outbreak claims 2 lives in Edo State. And from the foreign scene, Russia launches massive strikes days after Ukrainian drone attack. Good evening, Barakali Salah, and welcome to News at 7 on Osrc TV. Kunle Ariyo is my name. President Bola Tinubu has called on Nigerians to be patient with his administration's reforms, assuring that the toughest days are behind Nigerians. Tinubu, who gave the assurance in his message to mark the 2025 Eid Kabir celebration, said he attests that the journey had not been easy, yet his economic reforms have already started yielding positive results. Reflecting on the significance of Eid al-Kabir, Tinubu called on Muslims and Nigerians to embrace the values of sacrifice, selflessness, and compassion, which the festival symbolizes. The president said health reminds us of our responsibilities beyond faith to show resilience, tolerance, compassion, and dedication to the progress of Nigeria. He urged Nigerians to continue to pray for the armed forces and security personnel who are risking their lives daily to keep the country safe. The call for peaceful coexistence and reference for Allah echoed across various prayer grounds in Akure, Ondo State capital, as Muslims mark this year's Eid al-Adha celebration. Worshippers were reminded of the significance of absolute trust and submission to Allah's will, as demonstrated by Prophet Ibrahim, who was willing to sacrifice his only son in obedience to God's command. Bless and obey. Tells us more.
Muslim faithful around the world are celebrating Eid al-Kabir, a festival that commemorates Prophet Ibrahim's devotion and willingness to sacrifice his son at Allah's command. To honor this act of obedience, the ceremonial slaughtering of rams is observed. In Ondo State, Muslims gathered at various prayer grounds to offer the special Eid al-Adha prayers and seek blessings from the Almighty. At the Oda prayer ground, the chief imam, Abdulhakim Yahya Akurede, alongside the Deji of Akure, urged worshippers to remain steadfast in prayer and cultivate a spirit of gratitude.
ọ̀rọ̀ tó bá dáa náà ní kẹjá máa sọ nítorí pé nǹkan yìí àfi ń jọ́sìn fún Ọlọ́run ọba ni bó o bá láǹfààní àti pẹ̀rọ lọ́dún yìí ọ̀pá lọ́dún tí ń bọ̀.
The best time of the year. Any prayer that you offer to God this time is going to answer your prayer if you do it sincerely. So we thank God for today. We thank God for the Muslim faithful. We thank God for Christian faithful. We thank God for Akure people. Thank God for Ondo State.
In Ishinigbo, the chief imam Tawhid Owolabi emphasized the importance of reflecting deeply on the values and lessons embedded in the celebration.
A lot of lessons are there today. That's why we said today is a day of obedience, that we obey Allah. Today is a day of sacrifice because the udhiyah, the goat we sacrifice to Almighty Allah, we cannot eat it alone. We eat from it from our family, we give it to our relatives, we give it to people in our environment. So today is joyous for everyone Muslims and non-Muslims.
Muslim faithful described the day as one for spiritual reflection and a renewed commitment to peaceful coexistence.
For the celebration for this year is, of course, for peace, and of course to be patriotic, to be part of the development of governance.
My message as the traditional ruler, as the real father of Ishinigbo community, is to advise all the Muslim faithful to unite together, to know that they are serving only one Allah.
As the celebration continues, Muslims are encouraged to uphold the true essence of Eid al-Kabir and embody Islamic values in their daily lives. Blessing Obe, Osrc News.
Also, report from Ileolu Gio local government says Muslim faithful in Iyire community have joined their colleagues worldwide to celebrate Eid al-Kabir. In a sermon at the prayer ground, the chief imam Alhaji Harulu urged faithful to pray for the country's peace and unity, especially in this period of hardship. Alhaji Harulu called for renewed hope for the current administration. Osrc correspondent Shola Adeyeye reports that prayers were also offered to the families of Kano athletes who lost their lives while returning from the National Sport Festival in Abeokuta. The present administration in Ondo State remains committed to enhancing the welfare of its citizens and providing progress through impactful policies and initiatives. Governor Loki Aiyedatiwa, while featuring on a special television program tagged Mr. Governor Speaks, said his commitment to make life more abundant for residents while growing the state economy remains unwavering. Governor Aiyedatiwa, who thanked the people of the state for their support for his administration, said his recent victory at the Election Petition Tribunal will spur him to redouble efforts at making a positive difference. Government House correspondent Wahab Ankole has details.
As part of activities marking his 100 days in office, Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa was at Ondo State Radio Vision Corporation in Akure for a special program tagged Mr. Governor Speaks. The Chief Executive Officer of the Sunshine State was received on arrival by the management team of the Osrc Media Group, led by the Director General, Mr. Kenneth Odushola Stevenson. With the welcoming formalities concluded,
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
It was time for the business of the day as the governor took his seat in the studio. Governor Aiyedatiwa thanked and appreciated people of the state for their support for his administration and restated his dedication not to lower the bar of impactful governance. The governor said he is determined to actualize the 7-point agenda of his administration known as REs, including infrastructure and education development.
Road infrastructure is very key. It grants you access. People can easily access even your state, the various communities. For example, you know Ondo State is an agrarian state. One of our priorities, not just road infrastructure, because every sector of the economy is very, very important. It will help productivity, and that is one of the reasons why we have to embark on that within the first 100 days. Some of the measures that we have taken in our educational development is by recruiting about 2,000 teachers within these 100 days of administration, both for primary and secondary school. 1,000 for primary schools and 1,000 for secondary schools, total about 2,000. And you know what that means in terms of financial cost. Now, not only that, we are renovating our schools, both the primary school under Sube and the secondary school under Tesco.
Aiyedatiwa, who restated his commitment to the protection of lives and property of inhabitants with various interventions aimed at strengthening the security architecture of the state, promised not to shirk its responsibility of promoting the tourism potentials of the state. The governor said he will not relent efforts at promoting the efficiency and effectiveness of the public service with training and retraining of workers while promoting their welfare, including the senior citizens.
Those who have led service, in fact, we have been doing so much for them. We met a lot of areas when we came on board. Many years now, and we have been defraying that with bulk amount. Yes, and the retirees today are happier than before because of our policy. Because I believe that it is not until when they died and then they need to enjoy what they have labored for while they are alive, and that we have been doing. So, and those who have just retire, they do their processes and we approve them. So both those are serving, they get what is due to them, and those who are retired, they also get what is due to them. So all of this we are doing. Now you talk about recruitment. Yes, to cover gap of those who have left the service. Yes. Apart from the civil service,
the educational sector.
Yes, apart from educational sector that I mentioned 2,000. Also in civil service, we also recruit, some personnel aside when they look at the head of service, they know they have their data, those who have left and areas that there are shortfalls or gaps that need to be covered. So all of that we are doing. It's not as if it's a massive recruitment, but even lawyers in the Ministry of Justice, of recent, some lawyers were recruited.
The governor said all hands are on deck to sustain and improve efforts at making affordable healthcare services available to all residents of the state, while stating his readiness to appoint more competent individuals into office to add value to his administration with the aim of promoting the current impactful governance.
The medical, the health sector, we recruited a lot of doctors, nurses, and other medical staff, supporting staff for the medical sector. We have capacity in this, just that it's not so full, and in the days ahead, very soon, you will hear the announcement of appointing other members of the cabinet.
Aiyedatiwa concluded by reaffirming his passion to make Ondo State the envy of others in terms of overall growth and development, anchored on transparency and accountability. High point of the visit was the official inauguration of a 500 kVA transformer that distributes and regulates public power supply to the Osrc Media Group.
Connecting them to the national grid, thereby commissioned today by me for the good of humanity and for efficient broadcasting in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Wahab Bankole, Osrc News.
Meanwhile, Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has approved the appointment of Prince B. Boroye as Executive Chairman of Ondo State Oil Policy Areas Development Commission, Osopadek, in a statement by Ebenezer Adeniyo, the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor. Malam Malon Agboro has been appointed Executive Director, Finance, while Dr. Olujimi Kufo is Executive Director, Project. In the same vein, the Governor has appointed 9 non-executive members. They are Olajuda, Raphael Adribuye, Mrs. Ronke Efurubu, Adeyemi Abiye, Bayo Anifowoshe, and Lawrence TBAB. The rest are Aderonke Oladun, representing the South Central District, Mrs. Grace Aruwajoye, representing the North, and Dele Adenuoye, representing Central. The Governor urged the new board to build on the foundation already laid in the Commission in line with the Our East agenda for the betterment of the people of the mandate areas. The governor of Ondo State, the Ondo State government says it remains proactive in addressing the challenges posed by both natural and human-induced disasters across the state. The Deputy Governor Olayide Adelami spoke during a stakeholders engagement on the 2025 National Disaster Preparedness and Response Campaign in Akure. Government House correspondent Zimo Ebiemi's report is presented from our studios.
Teamed strengthening resilience, enhancing preparedness and response. The stakeholders engagement brought together key agencies, including Ministry of Environment, the State Fire Service, and Waste Management Authority. Representing Ondo State Deputy Governor, Dr. Laide Adelami, the Deputy Chief of Staff, Mr. Kola Falon, said the state is taking proactive measures to mitigate disasters before they occur.
What are you doing? We have killed the spirit of sanitation. You rarely see people doing environmental sanitation. You thought it was in there, but they are not long gone. But if you don't sanitize your environment, you get more drainages choked up. When you have a lot of other challenges, not only water, it could be as a result of the way you have contaminated your environment. In the first step, it is activities of men that is leading to disaster.
He highlighted that Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa's administration is prioritizing grassroots engagement to ensure that no community is left behind.
This agency has implemented several strategic focus across the 18 local government areas of the state, in one way or another, that have been affected by disaster. This intervention includes the distribution of food and non-food relief material, as well as financial assistance to victims.
As part of efforts to take the campaign beyond urban centers, the delegation visited Usho in our local government area, where relief materials were presented to the traditional rulers, the Oloba of Usho, Oba Demola Adebiyi Oyinbade. Oba Oyinbade praised Governor Aiyedatiwa for what he described as visionary leadership, especially the achievement recorded in the governor's first 100 days in office. While expressing gratitude, the monarch called for more development intentions to reduce the risk of future disasters in the community.
Mr. Governor have done well, and we all trust him and we believe in his idea. Like the agenda of Mr. Governor of his, and that is what we are saying today. And particularly, I know Mr. Governor is so particular about the grassroots, of extending the dividends of democracy to the grassroots, which our people are feeling and they are enjoying today. And we can see it in the community.
Major highlight of the engagement was a public lecture detailing the state preparedness strategy, followed by the practical distribution of relief items aimed at boosting local resilience. Participants stressed on the importance of synergy, noting that disaster prevention is a shared responsibility.
Ondo State government is taking decisive steps to tackle the rising menace of land grabbing. This story and many more will come your way after this time out. Please do stay with us.
Go.
Thanks for rejoining us. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook at OSRC TV, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel OSRC TV Ondo. The Ondo State government is taking decisive steps to tackle the rising menace of land grabbing. This follows a disturbing surge in illegal land takeovers across the state, leaving many residents displaced and property rights violated. OSRC's Blessing Obe tells us how the state government will tackle this menace.
Land grabbing is becoming a major concern in Ondo State, with many landowners falling victim of illegal takeovers and fraudulent resale of their property. The situation has led to widespread displacement and growing tensions across affected communities. To address the crisis, the Ondo State House of Assembly on December 30, 2024, passed a law prohibiting forceful entry and illegal occupation of landed property. Recently signed into law by Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, it aims to reduce land-related conflicts and bring sanity to land administration in the state. To enforce the legislation, the governor inaugurated the State Task Force on Property Protection and Anti-Land Grabbing. State coordinator of the task force, Olabode Ayegusi, outlined the key objectives of the task force, emphasizing its commitment to justice and transparency.
Ordinarily and formally, when there's such a report, the process or the structure is on ground such that when such incident is reported to the task force, the next is to take measure to have this incident documented first, and that is why we are in process is a form that we refer to as land grabbing complete form. And that is the starting point. The next thing is for other arms and units of the task force to move into action. It's more at this stage of a field work. We'll actually have to move, having done the documentation, move into the place and verify the authenticity of the claim of the complainants. And after that, the next is to invite the person that have been accused or the group of people that have been accused, depending, to hear from them.
He also urged victims of land grabbing to report cases and seek redress through appropriate legal channels.
A citizen or an indigent who feels aggrieved in respect of his or her land or in connection with the land can petition the task force through the Ministry of Justice Ondo State. When it gets to the ministry, there is a form already in place that we call complainants form, and they have to fill the form, and from there the task force takes the next step.
Stakeholders have welcomed the task force as a timely initiative, yet they stress the need for full implementation and sustained enforcement.
This will give us a new list because there are a lot of cases in courts over land issues in Ondo State and its environment. It's a welcome development. I only hope that they allow this to be well implemented.
The newly passed law prescribes strict penalties, including 10-year imprisonment for land grabbing and forceful entry, 5 years or a 5 million naira fine for illegal occupation, and up to 21 years for unlawful property resale. While the legal framework and enforcement team are now in place, many are watching to see how effectively these measures will curb land grabbing in Ondo State. Blessing Obi, Osrc News.
In an effort to foster a culture of transparency and accountability within the public service, and National Orientation Agency NOAA Ondo State Directorate has organized a sensitization workshop on asset declaration and ethic conduct for its staff. The training aligns with the recent push by the Code of Conduct Bureau to digitalize the asset declaration process across the country. Speaking at the session, the State Director of NOAA, Mr. James Adekunle, emphasized the importance of integrity in public service and reiterated the constitutional obligation of all public officers to declare their assets. He noted that the training was part of a nationwide initiative driven by the Director General of the agency, Malam Lanre Isaonilu, to foster compliance and accountability among staff. The initiative underscores NOAA's commitment to public service reform and reaffirms the role of strategic communication in institutionalizing transparency and ethical governance across Nigeria. 2 persons have reportedly died of diphtheria at University of Benin Teaching Hospital, Edo State, amidst growing concerns over a nationwide shortage of vaccines. The death of the 2 out of 5 reported cases attributed to alleged immunization gaps, surveillance lapses, and lack of public health. The incident led to the State Commissioner of Health, Dr. Siri Oshiomole, summoning an emergency meeting among health institutions in the state, including World Health Organization and United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, where a quick response team was activated to commence free treatment. He advised residents to ensure that their children are fully immunized against the disease affecting the nose and throat. Former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Mohammed Uwais, has passed away at the age of 89. His death was confirmed by long-time associate Kayode Ajulo, the Ondo State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. Justice Uwais served as the Chief Justice of Nigeria from 1995 until his retirement in 2006. Thereafter, late President Musa Yar'Adua invited him to chair the Presidential Electoral Reform Committee. During his tenure, Justice Uwais was widely regarded for his commitment to judicial integrity and reform. And to the foreign scene now, Russia have launched large-scale drone and missile strikes on Ukraine's capital and other parts of the country. At least 3 people were killed and 49 injured in the strike, according to Ukraine's President Zelensky. The area raids targeted Kyiv as well as the city of Lozno and the Tonfi region in the northwest of the country. The attack came after Russian President Putin warned U.S. President Donald Trump he would respond to Ukraine's recent strikes on Russia air bases. Zelensky said the attack used more than 400 drones and more than 40 missiles, and the number of people injured may increase. And to sport now, Yemen has scored twice as Spain produced a superb display to beat France in a 9-goal thriller and set up a Nations League final with Portugal, leading 2-0 through goals from Nico Williams and Mikel. Yemen earned a penalty when it was fouled by Andre Rabiot and calmly sent goalkeeper Mike Mayam the wrong way from the spot. Pedro made it 4-0, collecting pass and clinically finishing before France pulled a goal back through Mbappé's penalty following a foul by Tottenham's Pedro Porro, but Yemen grabbed his second and Spain's 5th with a fine low strike, and the game looked over. However, France substituted Rema Christie sparked the revival when on his international debut, he collected Mbappé's pass, flicked the ball up and volleyed home a wonderful strike to make it 5-2. Spanish defender Dani Vivian slid the ball into his own net with 6 minutes left, and then in the 3rd minute of injury time, Colo headed in Czech's cross to make it 5-4. Spain head on and they will face Portugal in the final in Munich on Sunday, while France take on Germany in Stuttgart in the 4th playoff. With that sponsor, we have come to the end of this the bulletin. Before we go, we'll take another look at the main point. As Muslim faithful across the country amongst Eid al-Kabir, President Bola Tinubu has called on the adherents of Islam to embrace the values of sacrifice, selflessness, and compassion, which the festival depicts. We also told you that Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has restated his commitment to actualizing the 7-point agenda of his administration. The Ondo State herdsman gave the assurance while featuring on a special television program tagged Mr. Governor Speaks on Osrc. No fewer than 2 persons have been reported dead following the outbreak of diphtheria in Edo State, and from the foreign scene, Russia has launched retaliatory missile attack on Ukraine, killing 3 persons. And that's it on the news at 7. Well, thank you for being a part of it. Good evening.